Hi, I'm Ed Biega, and this is my life story. I was born in Edmonton, Alberta, 1943, January the 11th. And we lived in a small town called Flatbush. It's about 100 miles north of Edmonton. I was 7 years old when our family moved to Ontario. And we settled on a farm in Niagara-on-the-Lake on East and West Line. We had a 10-acre farm, mostly fruit farm, and being only 7 years old, I didn't do too much work on the farm. I went to Virgil Public School from grades 1 to grade 7, and then Butler School was built just down the road, and that's where I had grade 8. As I grew up and got older, from 8 and 9 years old, I worked on the farm. Things like planting tomatoes and strawberries, picking tomatoes and strawberries, picking peaches. One of the chores I had, we had a cow, and one of the chores that was mine, I had to milk the cow. And I got pretty strong wrists and fingers from doing that. And I did that for quite a while. In 1962, I graduated from Butler School, grade 8, and went to Niagara District High School and for grade 9, and did all my high school there. During my high school days, we started going, my siblings and I went to a church called Niagara Christian Fellowship Chapel. It was on Concession 2, and we were going there for a couple of years, and then I got my eye on this nice looking girl who is now my wife, Dolores. She was Dolores Clausen, and we dated about 5 years, 4 or 5 years, before we got married in 1965. After I graduated from high school, I went 1 year to Teachers College in Hamilton, drove every day to Hamilton and home again, and did some practice teaching in Hamilton, and then had my first teaching job in the fall of 1963 in Brockview School, which is just down the road on Line 3 and Concession 1. It's not a school anymore. And anyway, that was my first 2 years of teaching there. And actually, it was a tough go, because I taught split grades 5 and 6, and all of a sudden you're thrown into this classroom. You're on your own. You got to prepare lessons for 8 subjects, 8 for grades 5 and 8 for grade 6, and keep them busy while you're teaching the other half of the class. It was very stressful, and Dolores was really a big support for me. She helped me get through that tough time. And after the 2 years of teaching at Brockview, a brother-in-law of mine who was teaching in Niagara Falls said there's a position opening up in the phys ed program in one of the senior schools. So I applied, and I was accepted. So I was teaching grade 7 and 8 on a rotary basis, for 25 years. After 25 years of teaching phys ed in a school called Princess Elizabeth in Niagara Falls, the school board decided that there was not enough enrollment in that school, so they closed her down. And I was transferred to elementary school, grades 1 to 8. I was placed in a grade 8 class, teaching, well, I was supposed to teach all the subjects, but I was able to trade off my music, English, and art to another teacher when I took their phys ed classes. So we kind of did a switch, and I did the other math, history, geography, science there. Yeah, so life was pretty busy then. I was coaching school teams, busy, get up in the morning practices, after school games. So played at home every night, and while I was teaching, I also tried out for a senior football team in St. Catharines. First they were called the Saints, and then they were called the Rams. So the Saints played 2 seasons, 12 games, so 24 games, didn't win a game. But it was fun. And then when the Rams came, was another coaching staff was formed. We had quite a bit of success, played on the team for, boy, I don't even know, 6 years maybe. And traveled around. We went to cities like Ottawa, Sudbury. We even went across the river to Michigan, played over there, Sarnia, Kitchener. So we traveled quite a bit and won quite a few games. We didn't didn't win the championship for the league at any time, but we made the semifinals one year. So during that time, yeah, I didn't get much time with my family, sad to say, but Dolores put up with me and let me go every night to practice and games. We traveled around together, and she was a good support. We were married in '65. Our first daughter, Michelle, was born in 1968. And that was a great time, happy time. And 4 years later, our second daughter was born, Tricia. And we had some good times with her, but only a short time. She was 9 years old. She went with a family, the friends of her family. They were in Toronto, and in the motel they were staying in, there was a big fire. Tricia, her friend Candace, and Candace's mom perished in that fire. That was really a tough time for us. After our third child was born, Nathan, in 1984. And so he was, just a blessing to us. We were so happy, and had a lot of good times with him as he grew up. So Dolores took time off from work till Nathan went to school. And then she went back to work. And so Well, I forget now, but she worked for a long time in the credit union, here in the Virgil office for many years, and then the head office in St. Catharines. And again, I don't know how long it's been since she's retired, but she's now a housewife, homemaker. We were married on August 14th in 1965, which now is about 50, how many years is that? 54? 53? Anyway, it's been a long time, and it's been a good time. Dolores has always supported me, like I said, in my sports events, in my football, when I played fastball, never complained, supported me, raised the kids, most of the younger, when they were younger, on her own, because I wasn't home a lot. Well, some things I've learned from my dad and mom, some from other people, but the one thing I learned from my dad, because he was an example, was being very generous and kind, and would help anybody that he could, anyhow he could, whether it was going out to work for them or do some work with them. And this is kind of has instilled in me too, helping people, not so much for how much money I can make, but helping people out. And I've kind of incorporated that philosophy into my mowing business. I don't go out there and charge an arm and a leg. I make a reasonable price and affordable, and it's kind of my service to people. Yeah, another thing is be honest with people. You know, don't tell them one thing and mean another, because sooner or later it comes back to haunt you. And like I've told other people, you tell one lie, you're going to have to tell another one to cover that one up, and then you're going to have to do another one. So honesty and integrity is very important to me. Some things that I would like my grandchildren and people around me to see is that I'm real and not putting on an act. And I think that's really important, not to put on a show for people and then they realize that you're not really what you say you are or who you say you are. And be considerate, patient. That's a hard thing for me to be sometimes when you see things going on around you. And but you know, not to be very critical either. It's so easy to criticize and find fault, but try to look on the positive side of things, and hopefully things will turn around. If you're in a tough spot, maybe things will turn out someday, not tomorrow or today, but somewhere down the road they will turn out. It may not be the way we like it, but it can get better.